Welcome back to our channel, this shared space on YouTube called Natural Connection with the Shaman. I'm your host, Odin Greywolf, Shaman Odin Greywolf. And I'm here with my co host today, Jamie Jette, and we're going to be talking about, well, I put the word impermanence as I mentioned, but it's a free conversation. And then also, I put in the chat if you have questions or you want a card pull or anything, go ahead and cooperate in the chat and we'll integrate what you got for us. So without further ado, let me introduce Jamie Jette.
Hi, everybody. And this is where I get to come in and say, because John and I are doing this weekly, we're really working on just letting it flow to where we're hoping that you or somebody you know can receive some really inspiring nuggets. So for this one today, I suggest if you haven't done so, grab a pencil and a paper. Of course, you can replay it all the time, but if you know somebody who else is wanting to maybe learn more about different stuff than the chaoticness in the world, which is really evident moment by moment, hit the subscribe, if you will, and also hit the little bell. I learned that the hard way, that just sends out little notifications and reminders. Anyway, I'm Jamie Jette with Stargate Sound Medicine. My partner Katie Hancock and I, we do shamanic frequency experiences here at Shangri-La, which is on the east side. And Bob and I, my husband, are turning it into a really we're expanding more, taking the personal part out of it and putting it more as a meditative sanctuary. So thanks, John. I look forward to seeing what unfolds today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And by the way, I wanted to say this too. I want to thank you for these weekly talks that we have because from these weekly talks, I've been able to notice certain things about myself and talk with them about my therapist to adjust medication just right. And it's really been helping. So, like, sometimes when we're on lives and I'm talking, I'll go completely blank and then I don't know what we were doing. And so I was able to talk to my therapist about that. And he's like, oh, okay, well, that's this. And we started talking about it and adjusted it. So just, in every way, thank you for showing up Tuesdays. Thank you for taking time out of your day. This has really been a lot for me. I mean, this has really been helpful for me and fun. I enjoy it. So I appreciate it. So you were talking to well, we were talking. You know what? Let's go into this. My brother got me this book, and I really, really, I started it, and I already love it. It starts talking about how we are just like mycelium inside the ground. Now, mycelium, I used to garden in my old house. I had herbs, I had fruits, I had vegetables, and I had cannabis plants. But it didn't start growing like superfood until I took a bag of mycelium and broke it up and put it all throughout my garden. When I did this, the plants started connecting together. And it's called symbiotic gardening, where they have a symbiotic circle. They all feed and nurture each other. But as I'm getting into this book, the first chapter was talking about that, how we are the part of a larger intelligence, that everything, once we realize how to read the signs, how we're always talking about learning the language of the universe. Once you learn how to read the signs, you become someone who nothing is happening to you and it's not happening for you. It's you. You are the co-creator with it. So it's really interesting. So I thought that would go good with our impermanence talk today. And I know you
Yeah.
got some notes too, right?
Oh, I have a lot because I really believe in the impermanence. After my son transitioned, and it's really interesting on the Western philosophy that we talk about birth and how lovely and chiku and the little children and how precious they are, but we don't talk about the beauty of that last breath, that impermanence, that I myself have experienced that it is a continuum. So there's different parts of impermanence. And when I was doing some studying, I found that impermanence is when we really accept change happens. It happens. That is life.
Yeah.
Change happens. Now, it's not a life or death situation. It's like a river that flows and it's like a flux. And so, when with that book that you just shared, that influx that we do not see in the dark, in the dirt, with the roots all connecting, I think birch trees feed each other.
Oh, yeah.
Um, even on the top, I've been noticing, I've been doing this experiment for about 2 years with my plants. And even though I keep them separate, it's interesting, just within an hour, they are touching each other. So again, I love to reiterate, if somebody is unfamiliar or doesn't want to swallow the whatever pill of the matrix, it's not part of the matrix. It is a galactic, cosmic
Yeah.
truth and law, if you will, that everything has a consciousness. So our consciousness just doesn't die when I take my last breath. I'm telling myself, my consciousness goes on and on and on. So yeah, I really wanted to talk about impermanence, to just share a few little ideas for people to think of, um, not the morbid thought that we've been conditioned to think of as death,
Yeah.
but maybe the idea of just letting go of that grip of an attachment, of ownership, of fear. So I don't know. What does your book say, or what do the cards say for today?
Oh, okay. Well, the book just kind of went over things that I always have a hard time explaining. Like, and that impermanence, what I'm talking about is, if you don't know, mycelium underneath the ground, it links the plants together. I know the roots all connect and everyone nourishes each other, but the mycelium is the internet of the underworld. It's like how the plants talk. And specifically, it's like if a pest is eating at one tree, that tree sends message to the mycelium, and the mycelium sends message to all the neighbors so that they can start producing a hormone that will fight against the pest that's eating the tree. So when that started coming up, I started to get a better understanding how to explain this, how I know that there's impermanence. Like when we sense something, right? And we have the internet now, so we're all interconnected. Well, as a psychic medium, that also, this is like the mycelium. And I could never understand why I would feel strange things. And I used to be totally afraid of the internet. So I would turn it off, get it off my phones, because it would infiltrate our mind. But that's our the internet, what this book is describing is the natural universe in us doing the same thing that it did with mycelium in our earth, trying to reproduce that interconnectedness where we all come from. And once you do realize this, once you do know and you become aware of what you speak happens, you have no other choice but to recognize it and take accountability for everything. So you know how some people will say, well, these bad things always happen to me, right? And you're like, well, I know from the matrix point of view or the 3D point of view, that's how it seems. But there's one little thing that really separates us from the matrix, and it's that wanting to favor ourselves. So once we release that favor for ourselves, like, oh no, I was the victim in this part, or poor, like, I don't want to say it as derogatory, but really when we let go of that, this is happening towards me, and we go, no, you know what? Here's a fine example. I didn't pay for something at Walmart one day, right? I knew I didn't. I knew it didn't scan, and I walked out, and I'm like, yeah, I got this for free or whatever, right? A week later, I got a ticket. So when I got the ticket, I didn't say, oh my God, he's so just bullying me. I said, this is because I took something free from Walmart. This is the universe saying you're going to pay it back. So that's
That,
how you, huh?
but that what comes to mind is integrity.
Yeah, yeah. Your integrity, being true to yourself and having that integrity with morals. I shouldn't have taken the damn, I think it was eggs or something. And I had
But
the money.
in our mind, we justify something like that. So now, as your friend, all I can say is, wow, that was real quick in your mind that you created was the quick dharma because you say you got the ticket. Now, I mean, maybe if that's your justification to say, oh, damn it, John, why did I take that free item? But going forward, you're like, oh, the universe isn't messing around anymore. This isn't 1960s. This isn't 1980s. This is 2025, just dipping our big toe into 26. And if you think Big Brother is watching you now, hold on, buckle up, because the universe is paying attention.
Right.
And so that I thank you so much for sharing that, because a lot of us have done that. I mean, I get to the point where I say, hey, you're not charging me enough because, and if they still don't get it, I'll just say, oh, well, you know what? I really did my best to make sure they realize that I was taking or getting something free. But again, it's all this conglomerate busyness that people don't understand. But I goes with um, that book by Don Miguel, The Four Agreements. Now there's
Oh,
the
yeah.
five. I've told you, I've struggled number two. Don't take things personal. Don't take things personal. Well, I forgot about one, three, and four. Well, number one is to be impeccable,
With your word.
impeccable with your word and your intentions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going forward, when you get that free item at Walmart, you're saying, oh, yeah, hell to the no. Do I want the universe? Because it's much more grander than we can even imagine in this time and
Yeah.
in this space.
Yeah. We are a part of everything, and we're creating all of our reactions. Now, I've had people like, when it's hard to understand this, when they're stuck in the matrix kind of mentality, it's nothing. And I hope you don't take this personal when I say that. When I say stuck in the matrix mentality, we all are. We all have to live. We all have to. So I'm not judging and I'm not preaching. I'm saying, like, if you're following along with us, you've been through some spiritual awakenings. Some things in your reality have gone really weird. It's not the same anymore. And once it has, you become aware of it. So once you start realizing that you're creating everything, you understand a little bit of what we call impermanence, that you are the universe in a soul coming back to you, mirroring back. If you want to say like holographic universe, or what is that? The lens. What do people call that? Artificial intelligence? No, not artificial intelligence. Virtual
Artificial.
reality. If you want to call the universe a virtual reality, anything to rationalize it. It helps you understand that you go beyond this body. And that's what I was kind of reading in this book, how even the things, and most especially I've found the things that we were holding within our mind, like the secrets, oh, I got some free eggs from Walmart, and these little things, they're the things that come out. They reflect. The universe will reflect it to you, hold a mirror up to you until you take accountability for your own actions. And then once you take accountability for your own actions, then it's like the universe starts rewarding you. things start going in your favor, not because you're anything better or different than anyone else, but because you take accountability for yourself. So that's that's a little bit on impermanence. I know you got a lot of notes you wanted to give, so go ahead. I'll hand it over to you. I kind of lost my soul.
I just wanted to say thank you and apologize to everybody that I'm unable to reply on anything that you say. So that's going to be all up to you, John. I wanted to talk because we are ending a year. We are ending 2025. And there's a lot that has unfolded and a lot that has revealed itself. And I just wanted to share a couple of things about the idea of change. I really, 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 really employ your listeners to think about the idea that change happens. And you look at nature, we always go back to one of the many great teachers that walked the planet, but the planet itself is a huge teacher when you pay attention. So when you look at even outside a tree or birds or even Cheryl, this one's for you. Even goats, everything, all is it's all collectively at a certain time and a certain season. So with life, I'm telling myself, it is if I just relax and I don't grip on and think that I have an attachment or ownership to something, that I'm pay attention to the trees and I'm thinking, wow. So, like you said before, John, they fall. It's not that they've died, they've come into some other purpose and they become mulch. And the same with the other elements. I look at fire, and fire is very it has a lot of great qualities. On this side, it could be very destructive if misused. But yet that fire that burns away that debris, old wood that has no veins to absorb the water, it changes. And just like with the wind, it blows all that. Um, I just, it's amazing when you turn into the wind, that how incredibly empowering that is. And then with the water when it rains and there's storms, and there's a lot of devastation, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of beauty. And so when we look at that change after, one realizes that it's so much easier to sit with the beauty of impermanence. And I don't know what it is like on the other side, even though I've had several QHHTs, which I highly recommend to everyone and anyone who can rub two nickels together, because it is an extraordinary experience. But I'm just telling you that the impermanence is just a change of form. We change, the matter changes, the particles, the atoms, the neurons change. So when we look at impermanence, it's almost as if I'm embracing and accepting that even if I have my foot in the 3D world, and it's fun to travel, drugs, music, even on a natural high to
Yeah.
that other realm, they're there, but they're here.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
thank you for that.
I just keep sharing with people that is how we're one breath away to form change.
Yeah. Thank you for that too, because you know what? I was thinking a little different on the impermanence route, and I forgot to bring it back down to simplest form, change here in our world. I was going on about like how, our thoughts and reactions are one, is the impermanence of our reality. It's always under change. But yeah, you brought it back down to simplicity. Even the fact, like, I had an aunt and we used to talk about this all the time. She would tell me that men go through stages just about every 7 years where they change who they are. They change everything, their beliefs, their maturity, their life, their views and outlooks. And along this road, I remember when I first started doing YouTube, I was really heavy into the Norse and Proto-Germanic um, history, mythologies, runes, and divination, to where it was almost blindsided to where that was all that there is. I didn't agree with any Christian beliefs. I didn't agree with anything, right? But over the years, as I kept digging into research and finding myself, I discovered new leaps. I started turning over where I was studying Vedic mythology and Vedic astrology, and I was learning things from Christian, Catholic, and Hebrew. And those are changes like what does Katie Rose say? I hope, you know how she says when she sees a friend, they say, I hope you never change. She says, no, I hope you do change the next time I see you, because it does let us know that we are evolving.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. Thank you for bringing that back down to earth for me.
You're welcome, because it's really all part of our deconditioning of the conditioning.
Yeah,
And it's we say thank you for coming to the party on those belief systems, the BS.
yeah,
Um, it's now what's that old saying? Oh my God, does that sound so cliche? If it is to be, it's up to me. Ah, I said it.
if it is
So
to be.
if it's to be, it's up to me.
Oh,
So at a point as adults, we are now in a different time and a different space. There are, I'm telling myself, there are a lot of galactic energies showing up,
yeah,
wanting to reveal. And it's as if, and I'm going to share this with a friend after this podcast, that when two comets collide, what happens? There's going to be um, either they'll pass by and just brush each other, or there's going to be a big impact
yeah,
and change and explosion. So that which was part of each comet is now out here somewhere. So, with the impermanence and the change and really paying attention to the signs, there are so many, and I know you know who you are. You can't, once you see, you cannot unsee.
no,
And the messages are getting louder. The books are falling off the page. The friends are saying stuff, or the radio, for crying out loud. Songs will come out all of a sudden. You I know Abraham Hicks calls it years ago, but I'm going to reiterate it. When you are tuned in to the
yes,
frequency and you become turned on, that's when you tap in.
yeah,
And you tap in to the vast, seamless, infinite possibilities of galaxies and thoughts and wildness we couldn't even fathom up
right.
until now.
It's funny.
Um,
Funny how you mentioned the Galactic Federation, and well, I mean, years ago, if you would have told me that, I would have said, I would have said something negative about it. I didn't want to believe in, I believe that yes, there could be aliens out there, but I didn't want to believe that the signs I was receiving were from things like the Lyrians, the Palladians, the Arcturians, and just recently they are, and they're coming in really loud and clear. And I'm like, okay, I'm open, I'm listening. You got my attention, because they're like, it's now for me, that mind state, that's an impermanence in my mind state. I opened up to the vastness of, okay, this could be possible. It's not just woo woo. But once you do, like, you got to understand they're coming through in so many strange ways. All the signs that I've been following my whole life, I'm re-looking at them now in different eyes. I'm like, okay, so I thought that was so and so deity, but now I'm finding out it's an entire star constellation. So that's where this is coming from. Did these ancestors come here to Earth years ago from that star system and leave something to where that became the cultural norm? So it's really strange. They are coming in, and I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to find out here in this Friday, or no, next Friday. I'm pretty sure we're going to find out.
Oh, you're so cute. Yeah, are you pulling a Y2K thing on us?
No, 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 no. Three Eye Atlas will pass by, the
Oh,
closest it's ever been.
yeah.
Now, I heard from somewhere. Now, mind you, I don't try to follow it as much. You know me, I try not to get caught up in the media programming to where I get all sucked into things. But I did hear somewhere that it's going to be close, almost as close as our moon to us. So if that happens, our moon, you were talking about when comets pass by, our moon is responsible for our oceans. So if something gets in the atmosphere at the same range as the moon, I could see something happening, like tsunamis or whatever, but who knows? I don't even know if what they said was true. Last I heard is that they can't even track it now. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, and the mystery is what's kind of fun for we humanoids. And like I believe I told you in the very first week of meeting with you, to think we humanoids, human beings, are the only, really, come on, the
Right?
only thing that exists on the planet. Good God. I'm telling you, I was just talking to some friends yesterday. I said there's more to be revealed because there are too many laws in this universe.
Yeah.
And the law of truth, 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years, always reveals itself. And so I told him, I says, I'm really kind of hoping I get to hang around to find out what is going on and what is living in the ocean that brings us such joy and such peace and frequency that sounds something that we relate to. It's not an ugly sound. It's not a fingernail on the chalkboard sound. It is a I don't even know the sound, but I'm gonna go ahead and label it because we're in this dimension. It's a cosmic sound. And somehow my DNA, my atoms, my cells, whatever you want to call it, remembers.
Yeah.
I am remembering. And so I'm telling myself, people, when they listen to the sounds of the ocean and the whales and the dolphins, caring about with the humor. They represent the humor and the playfulness of the universe. It I invite people to just sit in the silence and feel in your body. Allow yourself to say, "Oh my gosh!" And if something hits you in the ankle, and it's like, "Oh, yeah." I mean, I'm telling you, you're gonna experience something, and or not. But if it doesn't happen at first, perhaps there's too big of a shield of shame and guilt, that we are born since Adam and Eve were shunned from paradise. What the F? In paradise. That is just a fear mongering story
Yeah.
in a story, in a story, in a story. That is
Yeah.
my. But when you allow yourself to sit like a child and say, okay, I'm going to just give it a go. Let's go into YouTube and find some whale sounds or dolphin sounds and just close your eyes and just sit with it. I would invite people, write John and let us know. Let us
Yeah.
know. Perhaps you may not understand this up until now, this second, but I'm going to say these words. Everything is not for you. Perhaps, like John said, we are interfractuals. Something that you might come to know or realize or hear, perhaps might be for someone else.
Yeah. Big part. That's like that connectedness with just like we're mycelium. It starts, these are things that are hard to explain when you all of a sudden know something that you had no aware of. You never read it, you never heard it, you didn't experience it. And then I used to write it down and then come to find out, I would find out within that day or that week who that message was actually for. Like like George here. I used to get messages from him telepathically, and then I would find out later. I'm like, oh my god, that was George. Okay, I get it. We're all interconnected throughout that. And you kind of threw me off with that little face there, bud. I don't know what that was. Ah, you laughing. Squirrel, squirrel. But anyways, let me pull some cards for you real quick. Let's see
Thank
what we
you.
got for impermanence.
What deck is this from?
This is from Angel Signs. And we've got divine justice, conflict, and expansion. This kind of goes with today's astrology too. We got today's Mars Day. It's Tuesday, right? Mars is in Sagittarius. We got all the messages right here. Today, Mars is in Sagittarius, so it's a good time to channel your fiery energy, conflict, into your future vision, social networks, and group endeavors. You might want to do things that are guided by philosophies and your love for freedom if you find yourself in conflict. Now, divine justice, let's see what these cards say. What was taken will be returned, and what was done in harm will be answered. Stand in integrity and let divine justice unfold. The universe sees all and balances all. And let's read from conflict. Tensions are building, and a conflict may emerge. Avoid escalating the situation and seek peaceful resolution. Your response will determine whether this becomes a moment of division or a path to growth. And how funny is that? What's the last card? Expansion. So, if you channel your energy in the right way, you can expand and grow. You are being entrusted with more, both energetically and physically. Prepare to gain new territory and step into roles of greater responsibility and influence. What is arriving in your life is a reflection of what you are now capable of holding. Okay, so what I gather from that and from this morning's astrology is there, whatever's been bothering you, you've got to find a resolution to that. Today's a good day to channel it into your life. Okay, how am I going to handle this? How do I want to handle this? What would be the best outcome for both parties so that this conflict can be growth rather than destruction? So I hope that was helpful for whoever that message was for.
You reread number 2 because I giggled. Because didn't I just say 20 minutes ago that it's not only Big Brother that's watching us? I think I heard you just say that the universe, something about card number 2, the universe is watching.
Um, I think that was, let's see, tensions are building. Number 2 was conflict. Number
Yeah, but
3,
the universe is watching you. Or maybe you didn't. I heard it.
Yeah.
That was a channel.
Yep. You channeled something right there. I think you were more going with expansion. So basically, what's going on is the universe, you're about to get more, right? So when you're getting more, the universe will give you some kind of test. It's like, can you handle this? This is going to be tension. Are you going to break? Or can you hold what I'm about to give you? So anytime some kind of goodness has come up, it's because the universe is watching you. And they,
Okay, but
you know,
about the integrity. I swear to God, John, I heard it. Something
uh,
about the integrity. It was between the one card, the first card, and the second card about the universe is watching. Something about the
oh,
universe.
it was the first card. The universe sees all and balances all.
The universe sees all. I
Yeah.
just said that. God, that looks like um, oh, what was that guy singer, that clown? I got to change my thing. I look like that clown who has that hat on him, who sings the guy, Bob's favorite. Anyway,
Yeah.
I I told you the universe is watching. It's not just Big Brother on this phone. It
No.
is. It is. I told you a few weeks ago. My new thing is I'm just talking. You know,
Yeah.
you just talk to the universe. Talk. You know, if they say it, that there is so much. Watch your animals. Watch your animal. They see past you.
Yeah. That's kind of the big thing is in that book I was reading, it does talk about that. Once you realize that the universe is watching you back, that's where you can't go back, right? So like, and there was a reference to where the mycelium doesn't just warn the plants, but that's how animals feel the vibration when we're walking through. Of course they've got like supersonic hearing and they've got ultra fine sight, but their paws on the ground, they can feel in the earth when we're walking out there. That's why it's really important to be still and not move. So it's really interesting how the universe, it's not so much watching as it's you looking at yourself, because the universe is kind of like, it's just you. And everything you do, you're either, what was the term they said? Your whole thoughts, behaviors are resulting collectively. It's just you impacting your collective in every which way. So the more that you are authentic with yourself, like letting go of the ego, shedding layers of your. I had somebody call me yesterday after watching one of my videos and was a little confused, wondering if when I said to own our own flaws and our own negative characteristics, they were wondering if I meant confess them to other people. Hell no, that don't matter. All that matters is that you own and accept and be honest with yourself. Because when you start being that, then it's called resonance, where you vibrate out truth. And no matter what your truth is, it doesn't have to be, all super positive. It doesn't have to be love and light. It doesn't have to be super negative. It just has to be honest. And that's your heart vibrating. Imagine being in the pool, right? And there's all these other people in the pool, but nobody's moving at all because they're not being honest with themselves. They're not moving, there's no activity. So the water is still, there's no movement in the water. But then you start being honest with yourself and you start spinning in a circle. What happens? That sends waves out to the other people. And whether they understand it or not, as the waves bounce against them, they start to slowly release the lies they're telling the world and themselves, and they become themselves, and then they start swirling, and a collective chain reaction happens. So, squirrel.
But that, but I do want to I want to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Not the film, but the planet.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to, I have this calling. I said it this morning to myself. Don't be afraid. So if you don't mind, if we can just sit here just you can watch it just for 30 seconds and just think about the idea of just love. And remember that there are different laws that are showing up right now. There's a lot of ugliness um, revealing, and there's a lot of pain revealing. It doesn't mean we have to stay here. We can go into that space that they have already scientifically tested, that our heart is able to permeate, radiate probably 26 miles out. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
So if we collectively just sit here just for 30 seconds and not think about all the chaos out there, but think about, like John Lennon said, and I get teary because he just came and channeled through another channel on Thursday.
Mm.
Just imagine, just imagine a world living in peace. And if we sit here just for a few seconds, close our eyes, and just imagine, what would that look like? Would it be like the psyllium underneath? Would it be able to see our hearts? Would it be like as if we were behind an x-ray and you wouldn't know the color of my skin or my shadow, what it looked like? Just imagine the whole world at peace. And just know that our bodies are like magnets, computer in suit. Someone said that the other day. And I'm going to tell my body that I just know that peace is somewhere in this pile of shit.
Mm.
I know it because there's a lot of shit. There's a pony in here somewhere.
Yeah.
So just imagine if it is white or pure essence illumination all around our world. And it feels good to just sit in the peace.
Mm.
John Lennon said I didn't write it to be a little sing along. I really wrote it as a message, and it is a beautiful song. Imagine all the world living in a world of peace.
That's one of my favorite songs by them. Him and Elton John sing it good. There was a time I could listen to Imagine without crying. I can't anymore. Yeah, I mean it is. It's the one thing. That song tells the whole story of what's wrong with the world. And although when you see from a higher state, you understand that peace can't exist without conflict, it's still, we as humans can be a little bit more open minded than what is out there. Just take for my instance, over my life, anger, judgment, frustration, projection, everyone was either a target, an enemy, or a way to come up with money, right? So that's how I used to look at everyone. Either a target, an enemy, or a way for me to profit. And life was always negative. And after my NDE, I really had to sit with myself and I had to think about life. And that just is not life at all. And so many people are still out there where that's the mentality. And how's that working for you?
Right. But see, if we keep, I don't want to be that magnet. I don't want to, my job is not to sit here and figure out how.
No.
My, I tell myself, my mission is to keep focusing on that which I want. So if I want more peace, I am to practice. And oh, Lordy be, it is really difficult sometimes in this dimension. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the truth of the existence of the third dimension.
Yeah.
But when you listen to these people that go to the other side and come back, you don't need conflict to know peace.
Yeah.
You don't. It is so, it's so opposite of what we human mind conditioning says. I got to have conflict to know peace. F that, because that is not my truth. I
No.
am telling you, on the other side, it is so pure and cosmic and spacious and um I mean, just think about it. They say the colors are vibrant. So I would have to go to the debate team that I do not need conflict to know peace. I know when I allow myself to just sit in the silence, in the softness with nature, the sun on my skin, even if it's the rain or the tears, like Katie says, the tears that shower me with the pain and all that I've been holding in. I, let me sit with that and see if somewhere in there, in that silence and in that softness, something doesn't jump out that reminds me of what peace is, what love is, what joy is, what softness is. I don't have to do anything. I
Yeah.
can just be like they titled us, labeled us human being.
Right.
So yeah, I really, that's why I'm glad you talked when I talk about impermanence. I really invite people to just sit and think about the flux and the flow that everything does change.
Yeah.
Um, which is a
Be
good
safe
thing.
to change.
If it doesn't, it's just like a swamp, or water that sits in the pool, and all the mosquitoes land, and all of it becomes sour and smelly. So yes, having change and the circulation, like you said, when you vibrate that, it does cause an emotional wave of something. And with the ripple, it goes up and down. But I say pay attention to the four elements, maybe seven, as above, so below, but
Mm.
allow yourself to understand that it, it, it's okay not to have to see black or white. If you only want to know pure light and love, then allow yourself that.
Yeah.
Want the conflict?
Well,
It's your show.
what that certain person was talking about is like most of the time people want to know how to accept themselves, right? So this particular person was talking to me about accepting themselves for mistakes that they've made. And I'm like, no, it's not like having to confess to a priest. That's even that act of going to a priest and confessing was just a way of someone voicing something that's bringing them sorrow. So when you accept that negative has happened in your life and you have done, that's when embodying peace becomes a little more easier. Especially for me, after coming out of that life, meditation was and shadow work was really focused on, you know what? This is how I live. This is what went wrong. I don't have no one to blame. Because at first we blame everybody, we project all of our nonsense. And if we there was a time when I was just focusing on super positivity without facing everything that really hurt. And what was going on is I wasn't getting anywhere because there was repetitive loops.
Oh,
Every Thanksgiving there was mourning. Every around this time of the year there was mourning. Every Easter, every certain things it would trigger because I wasn't facing and accepting the hurt, owning that hurt and allowing yourself to say, this was real. This was real, and I have to own that about myself. And once you do that, that's when peace, you embody peace, because it's like your shell. Imagine being a bell, right? And or something that vibrates, right? Your inner core, if you're dishonest with yourself, it's vibrating. It's making loud noises against your shell. And those noises are the negative impact on the world. So it's not so much about the person being negative or acting negative, it's holding negative. The only way to release that is to accept it, own it, and know that there's nothing you can do about it but let it go. Impermanence, change. And then guess what? That centerpiece of the bell doesn't move. So now you're in alignment with yourself. And when you're in alignment with yourself, the universe talks to you. The universe sends numbers to you. The universe creates pictures for you in the sky. The universe, I call it echoes of infinity. You think in your mind, the radio says it, a person walking by says it, a sign says it. It's like an echo of infinity. Things, when you're in alignment, it means that you're being honest all the way into your core. You're not holding any shadows. And when you live like this, it starts to make people uncomfortable at first. People aren't used to handling that kind of radical acceptance and honesty and embodying stillness, peace, and calm without an identity, without a label, without a status, without anything. But the longer you hold that, staying honest to yourself, the more and more everyone around you starts vibrating at the same level, and healing can happen.
yeah. I wanted to also mention the simple word try, trait, up. What John is, I'm telling myself, it doesn't happen. It's like, it's a journey. Don't think it's like, oh, this will be in 2 weeks. I'll be just as good as can be. And yeah,
No.
no, sorry. I mean, you want a truth? I'm known as straight tongue in the indigenous world. I will tell you the truth. Does it feel good? No, but I will always be honest with you. But remember, there are a couple of terms in nature, and this at this part junction of the journey is to try trade up. Just be gentle and do little bits, and then you step out of it. And whether it's journaling, calling a friend, um, bouncing off your words to someone else's ears, really are for you to hear. So that's kind of an effective practice. But remember when John is saying and owning your, and who are we to judge at their flaws? Okay.
Exactly.
Um, when we are doing this work, it's trait. You just do a little bit every day or every week, whatever you're comfortable with. But I really suggest that highly. That when you have a whole bunch of mud in a big bowl, it's not going to get unmuddy by pouring more muddy water in it.
Yeah.
That's where affirmations come in. That is where being around people that are vibrating in a frequency that you want, but you're not quite there. And remember, too, in the mud, that the lily also has a root that is so I mean, it's so long, it knows the light. So
Yeah.
just keep filling the muddy water with clear, loving words, thoughts, conversations with a friend, um, even music with the
Yeah.
whales, dolphins, and see what comes up. All of a sudden, I'm telling myself, we are so precisely designed. Something is going to come up, whether it's tears, a gentleness, a nothingness. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a label. So that's what's so cool.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's always we always are in the mud because it's like that feeling of me getting those free eggs from Walmart. I knew it wasn't right, so it was something vibrating inside, right? So when we know that that's what's vibrating, that's the mud, and you start clearing it, like she says, it is a slow process. Believe me, it took me, you could ask my kids and my ex-wife and my family around me. I went through hell to get to where I'm at now. And I'm just barely at the state of mind where I'm like, everything feels good. And it
Yeah.
takes time to get there, but don't get discouraged.
Yeah. I'm
Especially,
really,
oh,
it's
go ahead.
calm. When you find you're comfortable with your own company.
Yeah.
I never thought. I always had to surround myself with people. And of course, I'm studying in my human design that there's a part of my stars that I am a hermit, and which is a paradox of what the opposite part of my numbers are. And I'll tell you more about that probably in April. But
Okay.
I we that going in is really good. Just like with nature, the trees, it goes within. And then when the first bud bursts out of that big thick, I trip to think something so soft and gentle burst through the skin and the bark of a tree. I did a video a few years ago on that, that just think we human beings are just as resilient as that. When we go within into the darkness, it doesn't mean they have to do any work. That little branch that's going to be birthed doesn't do anything. It just sits in the darkness and knows its innate mission is to
Right.
bloom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because plants, I mean, you would think in the really dense, deep forest, it's dark in there, broad daylight, and plants still grow. That's you. That's your soul coming to this earth. You know, like one thing I was thinking about this when you were talking. I found out that when you're dealing with a lot of reflection in the world, reflection is what you think is instantly shown back to you, right? Or who you are is instantly shown back to you. That those are Arcturians. So when you're going through the dark, and like there's this one time I said a really negative joke, and I was watching the series Lucifer, and as soon as I was done finishing the sentence, the comedy, the show came back with the reflection, the derogatory statement that made me go, "What?" So if you're dealing in the darkness like that, know that those little puns from the Arcturians are trying to help you let go of, could be other roots that are trying to hold you down or whatever, but your mission is trying to rise. So don't take reflection negative either. Reflection is just a way of helping you find alignment. And once you
Right.
find alignment, you bloom.
Right. And there's one more thing I want to add too with that QHHT. And there's still, because this is all new, we're in 2025, going into 2026. Just imagine for a moment that, okay, I was in my mother's belly, in my grandmother's belly, where my mom's eggs were developed. I'm still tripping on that. But the idea that all of our DNA, and there's so much scientifically that they are showing and really proving about the idea of our DNA that came with us from other lifetimes. So maybe that's another whole talk, which I really would love to dive into. Richard Rudd wrote The Gene Keys. It is all he's going to be here in Vegas next year. But they're talking about our DNA, and it doesn't just come from our mother's womb. I mean, it can come from lifetimes. And the truth is what? It's a law, just like gravity. And it's going to reveal. So I don't know that it will happen in my lifetime. I know maybe in a few hundred years when I get to come back that I will know, oh, that's why it's not my parents, it's not my conditioning, it's part of who I am designed, my soul. All that collection of lifetimes brought me right here, right now.
Well, you want to do something fun? How about next week's topic? We just talk about old past lifetimes that we've actually recalled in this lifetime. You want to do that?
Okay.
we, that'll give us a whole week to take the notes, write down, because, man, I've got some stories I could tell about other lifetimes. It is trippy, but it's fun. You want to do that?
If not next week, the week after, because next week is the what is it? The week of Christmas. Good God. Monday or Tuesday.
Oh,
Tuesday,
wow.
the 23rd already.
Oh, wow. Yeah, today's the 16th.
It's
Uh-oh.
up to you. I would love
No,
to
no,
talk
no.
times,
Yeah,
but I'm still
yeah,
trying to figure out why the one samurai lifetime, what it was that what part of that is in my DNA. We'll see. It'll be fun. And have
yeah,
your viewers maybe write something else too. You know what I mean?
okay.
About where they think about the possibility of, wow, I do know that part of my lifetime. Um, Perhaps that is why I, I was told a commander. Maybe I am to command my space, is what my QHHT person told me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So remember, it's all about deconditioning the conditioning and
Yeah,
opening your mind to infinite potential and possibilities of possibilities.
that's
You
right.
think they were thinking about this 100 years ago? I think there were a few. They were. But now we're igniting this planet, this mind, this computer, this knowledge is igniting.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I got thrown off for some reason. I thought we were a week in the past. I just found out that I'm in the present, so I guess I did a little time traveling right there. Maybe I hopped a dimension right now. But yeah, let's go ahead and skip next week because it is close to Christmas. And
We're going to skip next week?
you want to? Is that what you said? Because it's close
Oh,
to
no,
Christmas.
no, no. Are you kidding? Hell no. Next week is Christmas. Let's talk about the consciousness of the Christ.
All
Let's
right.
talk about wow, he's my brother. He breathed the same air you and I did. Yeah, we're in the same atmosphere. I mean, we could go dive in a rabbit hole, and I love to talk about that.
Yeah.
But that consciousness, and it is very interesting. I'd like to share something, um, and I'll have it printed. Maybe it can go a link into the thing where this reverend shared about the manger, and she broke it down into the metaphysical mystic explanation. I was like, oh, that was badass. So yeah, maybe we
Yeah,
can visit next week.
let's do that because it's actually right after the winter solstice, which is the 22nd. And I'll say why it is the 22nd. Here's an old parable that'll make you think. Jesus died and went underground for 3 days, and then he rose again. The 22nd, the sun stopped. It doesn't. rise, or flow. No, it's 22nd because 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. The sun stopped rising on the 22nd. In other words, the sun died. Then 3 days later, 23rd, 24th, 25th, Christmas Day, the sun rose. Jesus died and went underground for 3 days, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And then he rose again. So, yeah, we could get into that. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
All right. All right,
Well,
guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I love the activity in the chat. Next chat time, or for you watching afterwards, if you join our live at 11 o'clock, you can always ask to have a card pulled. You could always ask a question, or if there's a topic you'd like to hear us talk about, go ahead. We're open and integrative, and it's really fun to kind of see where our minds are. If somebody says, "Well, what do you think about this?" and we go into it, or if we don't know, I will just say, "Well, let me get back to you on that, and we'll talk about it next week." So thank you guys for your time, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. All right, Jamie. Thank you for coming. Oh, I'd like to thank our sponsors, uh, www.unitingwellness.com. What's up, holy moly? Stargate Sound Medicine and The Natural Closet and ShamanGrayWolf.com. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you all to our sponsors. I'll see you guys next. Take care. Bye-bye.